So let's review. The problem in this situation was that students weren't exiting the building very quickly during the fire drill. Nat and Moby used the four components of CT. First, they started with decomposition. Decomposition is breaking down a problem into manageable chunks. The way that Nat and Moby decomposed the data was by breaking the problem down into different parts of a fire drill. So instead of having an overwhelming amount of data to look through, they started by just looking at the students. Then they decomposed the data even more by dividing it up by classroom. Decomposing in that way helped them make analyzing the data more manageable. The student data was an example of quantitative data, which is data expressed in numbers. For example, the time it took students to leave the building is quantitative. However, qualitative data is also important to observe.
Remember the spill in the cafeteria that caused all the robot students to pile up?
That spill is an example of qualitative data that may be important in understanding the cause of the problem. Next, Nat and Moby decided to look for similarities across the different parts of the problem. That is called pattern recognition. If you remember, they saw from video that in several classrooms, students were crowding the doors, causing a traffic jam. Once Nat and Moby decided they might have a solution to the problem, they wrote an algorithm. An algorithm is simply a list of step-by-step instructions. If you think about it, you may have written an algorithm before without even knowing it. If you've ever written a step-by-step instructions, then you've written an algorithm. Then it was time to put their plan into play. They ran another fire drill and found that the students had not improved very much at all. The first time the students went through those step-by-step instructions, that was one iteration. CT is all about iteration. If one plan doesn't work, if one plan doesn't solve the problem, you continue to investigate the data and then revise your plan. You continue these iterations until you solve the problem. After the first plan did not improve the students' time leaving the building very much, Nat and Moby used abstraction to reduce any data that might be distracting. Instead of focusing on the video footage from the school cameras, which could have a lot of unnecessary distracting information, they used the GPS systems that the students had to locate the students on a map of the school. Through abstraction, they were able to see the very necessary information that was needed, that students were all exiting through the same door. Nat and Moby were able to revise their original step-by-step instructions so that students would be able to exit the building faster. They continued through another iteration of their plan and found that they were successful in their problem solving. The students were able to make it out of the building much faster.